This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Effizode 638. Hello, it's Mike Matthews, broadcasting from the last place on Earth, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Madame Rootabega, Valentino, Bison Bentley, plus the return of the feature into an interview where I speak to the founder and head raspberry of the RAZZIE Awards, John Wilson. And speaking of movies, a movie got shown at the White House. We'll find out which one. It wasn't the Lego movie.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Thank God for that. At least there is some sanity. How the hell does that movie become number one? That's not groovy.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
For 2 weeks in a row, I will never see that movie. I will promise you that right now. Okay, Mike, you're a snob. That might be true, but how do people spend their hard-earned money on such dribble? Speaking of dribbling, I can't play basketball very well, not even a little. And also there's this thing that I was discussing with my friend
Mike's Daily Podcast.
John Graves. He and I were discussing, by the way, I interviewed John Graves, and he is on the interview part
Mike's
of this
Daily
show's website,
Podcast.
MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST-Movies-2-18-14.
Yeah!
If you look for John Graves, he wrote a great book called The 7% Solution about how to have enough money for your retirement. And he and I were talking about how odd that was that Atlanta, Georgia, the home of the Weather Channel, you have the mayor saying, oh, we had no idea that we were going to have this ice storm a couple weeks back when the whole highway got shut down. You know, it's kind of interesting that, like, where you live, something that influences the whole country, if not the whole world, comes out of. Like, it's interesting to me that I drive about 30 minutes and I'll be right there at Facebook. Facebook is right, not that far from where I live. Or Google, or even Pete's Coffee, for those of you that have that in your state. Pete's Coffee, the headquarters, is not too far from where I live. So when you have such an institution as the Weather Channel coming right out of your town... Anyway, enough about that. That's an old story. Oh, look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Masters. This is Madame Rootabega, and I love to listen to podcasts that tell me about how to spend my money. Yes, there is a podcast called Planet Money. Do you listen to that? Oh, yes. What do you think of that one girl with the really thick, I don't know what kind of accent it is?
And it costs us $68 to fly from here to Fort Lauderdale. But, where to begin? There are so many buts. Everywhere you turn, there are fees.
$30 to pick our seats?
If you want water on the plane, it costs $3. Spirit Airlines is a subway car in the sky. There are ads on the overhead bins. I've never seen that before.
I mean, she sounds cute, but she talks like this. I don't know why. She's saying. Michael Master, her name is Zoe Chase. She sounds so weird. Yeah, so strange. Doesn't she sound strange? Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Anyway, it's some kind of Midwestern New York accent Zoe Chase has. But she's an attractive lady, and she does an interesting show, that Planet Money, very informative. And like that episode, they were talking about Spirit, the airline. I have not flown them, but apparently it is bare bones, as you could hear from that little clip. Yes, Michael Master, I will never fly them. Hopefully I will not either. Look, all just walked in.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, you know, you should really ask for Zoe Chase's phone number, day.
Okay, so this is another thing I was talking with John Graves about how I'll meet beautiful women, strike up a conversation, and then I never see them again. I spoke about this on a previous podcast. I just do not... I move like molasses as far as getting... digits. Just, Michael Master, you should go to my special instructional class where I teach little introverts like you how to pick up on the women. Really? Can you give me a little taste of what the class is like? Sure, Michael Master, okay. I am a cute girl. Ask for my phone number. Ask for your phone number? Okay, well, Madame Rootabega, tell me what your phone... I couldn't hear you. What did you say? Tell me, What was that? Was it Zoe Chase? Zoe Deschanel? I don't know what you're saying. See, I'll go to your class. Very good.
Mike, I think you should also meet a good friend of mine. He's walking in right now. It's Lindsay Lohan Graham Day.
Yeah, he's a politician from South Carolina. Do you know that? You mean Lindsey Graham, not Lindsay Lohan Graham.
No, it's Lindsay Lohan Graham.
Okay. Hello, Lindsay Lohan Graham. Hi, Mike. Hey, I'm like telling y'all right now that I'm a big fan of the show and all that and staphylococci and all that kind of thing. I think it's great. What? Why is he talking about staphylococci? What the heck is he? I'm a little scared.
Don't be scared, just because this guy is a Republican and I know you get a little weird around Republicans Day, I think you can keep it together Day.
Yeah, keep it together, Mike. Do you know that? I know, you two guys are real big tea partiers, so. Staphylococci is real scary stuff, Mike. I just want y'all know that I'm Lindsay Lohan Graham and I'm a big happy person and I want everyone to make sure that they meet my good friend, Bill O'Reilly.
Mike, so what I want to know is why he's trying to get gays to move to Nguangua. I've never been there. I don't know what that place is. But Mike, I don't trust Obama.
Oh, what a surprise there. Well, Obama had some big celebrities over to the White House. Yes, tonight he held a private screening of the new film The Monuments Men, based on the true World War II story of a special force commissioned to locate and save valuable pieces of art before they were destroyed by the Nazis, according to WashingtonTimes.com. George Clooney, Bill Murray, Matt Damon, they were there. Grant Heslov, a co-producer of the movie, was also there, and he co-wrote the screenplay with Mr. Clooney. Other attendees included Robert Edsel, author of the book on which the film is based, Harry Ettlinger, a member of the real-life Monuments Men, and a variety of administration officials such as Deputy Secretary of State Bill Burns and others. Last week, the White House also hosted a gathering of the rich and powerful as part of a state dinner honoring French President Francois Hollande. At that shindig, celebrities included Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Stephen Colbert, Bradley Cooper, former NBA Commissioner David Stern, and Comcast executive and major Obama campaign donor David Cohen.
Well, there you go, Mike. Why wasn't I invited to this fantastic shindig? I should have been there because I host the O'Reilly Factor.
Didn't you just interview him before the Super Bowl? You've already hobnobbed with him.
Mike, don't criticize Bill O'Reilly Day.
Yeah, he's a really important public figure. Do you know that? Oh, okay. Well, thanks for pointing that out to me. Lindsay Lohan Graham, do you have anything else to say? I think that wind turbines are the devil. Okay. Well, what do you think about this whole thing with George Clooney getting to go to the White House? And did you get to go to the White House? No, but Clooney gets to go anytime he wants. What's that all about? And Damon and Bradley Cooper and Bill Murray. Bill Murray gets to do everything. What's up with him? Of course, have you heard that story about Bill Murray where he went up to some woman at a bar and took a drink of I think he took a drink of her drink or ate one of her French fries or something, and he said to her, "If you tell anybody, no one will believe you." What do you think about all that? Email me, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. I read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you would like to sponsor the show. MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. Our fan base, our audience is growing with every episode. Yeah. Wow. Complete gratuitous sound effect there. Also, check out the website, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com, and I have links there where to listen to the show in iTunes. And if you listen to us there, make sure to rate and comment on the show. Also, there is a link to where to listen to us and follow us on Facebook. And when I post a new show, share that with your friends so that more people find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. There is also links to where to listen to the show in SoundCloud. Right. We are also on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher. You can find out where to find us on YouTube and Yelp and Twitter. And there's also the Amazon deal of the day. Click on that link and you can get great deals on all kinds of stuff. And if you buy something through that, we get a little bit of money. MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com is where to find that, as well as the blog and the daily podcast picture.
Into an interview.
We're speaking with John Wilson, the founder and the head raspberry of the RAZZIEs. The RAZZIEs are coming up, of course, because the Academy Awards are coming up. And this is where, well, I think just about everybody knows, but the RAZZIEs are where the worst. Would you say that? The worst of the movies?
Yes, we like to say we're the opposite end from everybody else. The other 357 award shows are up there saying yay, and we're down at the bowels of Hollywood going.
Yeah, I'm so glad there's someone that does this, because there are just so many movies. I'm like, why did that even get made? That's so bad. That's
especially true this year, and specifically the interesting trend in 2013 was one after another huge big budget things like Lone Ranger, like R.I.P.D., like you could argue the Superman movie cost so much it didn't make any money. A lot of great big budget turkeys came out this year, and on the flip side, for the other guys, a lot of little tiny indies did very well and ended up nominated for the award that people want to win.
Interesting. And there's movies like After Earth that you got nominated for Worst Picture. That's the Will Smith one?
It's the one that Will Smith put the whole thing together to try and force his kid on the public, which is kind of ironic because his kid had already starred in that remake of Karate Kid that did very well. So not only didn't he help his son, he actually stomped on the career the kid already had going.
Thanks, Dad.
Yep.
And grown up.
Dad. See ya.
Grown
and
ups.
the other thing there are a couple. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to move on?
No, go ahead. What was the other thing? I want to hear about your other thing.
I was going to say the other interesting thing about After Earth, they hired M. Night Shyamalan, who is something like a 72-time Razzie nominee and a 4-time winner. They hired him to direct it, and then they didn't put his name on it. And it's not clear if when he saw the movie, Shyamalan said, "Oh no, don't put my name on it," or if the only way they would hire him was to not put his name on it, because his name is kind of poisonous in Hollywood right now. And the theory I heard was that Daddy Smith hired Shyamalan because he thought he could push him around and actually direct the movie and blame it on Shyamalan.
What?
That's a rumor. I can't prove it, but somebody told me they had seen behind-the-scenes footage, and Shyamalan is really just standing by the camera, and Smith is doing all the directing.
What happened to both?
I find it very odd that this was one of those movies that coming down the pike I could tell was going to be a contender. And I did some research before it came out, and I actually had to research to find out that Shyamalan had anything to do with it. Not only did he direct it, he has a screenplay credit, and I think he's, along with his family, Smith, he's one of the producers of it. So he was heavily involved, and yet he was not mentioned in the trailer, the poster, the TV ads, the radio cam, any of that. They went out of their way to keep you from knowing his name, and I'm curious if that was because Shyamalan was embarrassed or if because they were embarrassed that they'd hired him. It's an interesting question.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how he started out, M. Night Shyamalan, with The Sixth Sense and how big that was.
He was an Oscar nominee for that, I'm pretty sure, and his script may have won an Oscar. I'm not really certain, but ever since he's the last few years he's got The Happening, where the trees are trying to kill people, Lady in the Water, where a lot of the action takes place in a swimming pool in Pittsburgh.
I watched that one.
And Last Airbender, which Last Airbender did win Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Supporting Actor. It won a bunch of Razzies. And my son, who's 18 now, but at that time he was about 14 or 15, he loved the anime series that movie was based on, and he was just livid at how they trashed the source material.
Did that get a Razzie?
It won Worst Picture, yeah.
Oh, wow. And so how did the Razzies get started? So 34 of them now.
This is our 34th annual. I do remember the moment the thought occurred to me. I was driving home from a double feature of Olivia Newton-John in Xanadu and The Village People in Can't Stop the Music. Yes, I am into bad film. And when they wouldn't give me the 99 cents back that I paid to see those two, I actually was angry that I had wasted my 99 cents in about 3.5 hours. And as I was driving home from that movie in the summer of 1980, I suddenly started listing in my head, okay, well, there's Windows, there's the Formula, there's Raise the Titanic, there's Saturn III, there's The Jazz Singer. I could name a dozen movies that if there were such a thing as a Worst Picture Award would certainly deserve one. And the very first one was it was my living room. I set up a cardboard podium, had a broomstick with a foam ball on it pretending to be a mic, and it was just completely silly. The silliness hopefully has stayed all these years, but the attention paid to it has gotten way out of hand.
Oh, I'm so glad. I think people are just so fed up with bad movies, and it's great that you nominate them. And then people show up, right? The Sandra Bullock?
We try every year. We set the schedule up so that we know about a week ahead of time, and we do try to invite whoever it is who won. The two probably best known winners who were in the hall and accepted in person on our stage are Halle Berry, and you can see that on our YouTube channel. It's a very funny riff on her Oscar speech. She won for Catwoman and brought the house down, got a standing ovation. And then a few years ago, the same weekend she won the Oscar for Blind Side, Sandra Bullock won Worst Actress for an awful little thing called All About Steve that she had done with Bradley Cooper before Bradley Cooper was known. And her take was interesting. She tried to claim we had not seen the film, and she made a joke about based on the grosses. Nobody saw it. The proper attitude with this thing, we think, is to show up. The phrase we use is own your bad, and then you can move on. If you actually will stand up in front of all that media and say, yeah, I blew that one. The public loves that kind of stuff, and they're very forgiving. Halle Berry, all these years later, she never gets asked about Catwoman except in the context of she had the guts to show up and accept a Razzie Award.
Wow. And tell me, what is this Indiegogo site?
Well, we are in an attempt to more fully fund this year's presentation. We're running a campaign at Indiegogo, which is one of those crowdfunding websites. Uh-huh. And we want to do high-end video with multi-camera and then edit the thing and throughout the year in pieces put clips up on our YouTube channel as examples of what the Razzies are. Everybody thinks they've seen it because they've seen clips of it on the news every year for all these years. It's never actually been broadcast, which is, part of that is every time somebody comes to us wanting to buy into it or finance it, they want to change it. My favorite one was an entire meeting we took with one of the big award production companies, and the first question in the meeting was, do you have to use the word worst? Just sitting there like, yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, without that word in there, it's just another award show. And your company alone does 10 of those.
Oh, wow. And your nominations, well, the categories are Worst Picture, Worst Actress, Worst Actor, basically everything the Academy Awards does.
We have, I think it's 8 categories this year. Also, I should mention, we are, for the third year in a row, we are conducting the voting on one of our categories at Rotten Tomatoes, and anybody can vote on that. The category, we took Screen Couple and Screen Ensemble and mooked them together, and we're calling it Worst Screen Combo. And if you go to Rotten Tomatoes and look for I'm trying to remember what they call their award show element of their website, but it is being voted on Rotten Tomatoes, and for the nominations in that category, I think it was 62,000 people voted.
And I do see Jaden Smith and Will Smith in the Worst Screen Combo in your in your
Yes,
list.
yes. We're saying that they were on Planet Nepotism. I know there's an old showbiz tradition of, hauling your kid out onto stage with you and forcing people to listen to them sing, dance, or, in Jaden Smith's case, attempt to act. But, this one is just so obvious and so does not work. It's one of those movies where at the end you don't just want your money back, you want your time back.
And I see Lindsay Lohan's also in that combo. Has she been on your list before?
Yes, she is the only person to tie with herself. She played twins in an awful thing called I Know Who Killed Me a couple of years back.
Oh.
And, we listed her for both. And when the final results came in, it was close enough. We said, it's funny. Let's just say it's an actual tie. And we said she won 2 Worst Actress awards for it.
And the worst remake, ripoff, or sequel, you've got Lone Ranger, and I see, Grown Ups, too.
Mm-hmm. Grown Ups is everywhere on the ballot this year. Adam Sandler, 2 years ago, I think it was, when he did Jack and Jill, his movie became the first one ever to win every single award. All 10 categories that we had at the time went to that. Made for a rather boring ceremony. By the end, the audience was anticipating and yelling Jack and Jill before the envelope opened. But that was a truly bad movie. And every time he does a movie, I think, well, okay, he'll do a little better this time, maybe. The first 5 minutes of Grown Ups 2, a deer wanders into his house, bucks up on its hind legs, and urinates in his mouth. And it's downhill from that joke. It's
why? Part of the reason why I hardly ever go to movies anymore, John, is they make so many bad ones. And you're helping to make people aware of them.
Well, we think it's, one of the other factors that led to my creating this thing is in 1980, I worked for a trailer company and a film festival. And between all of those resources, I actually saw over 250 films in 1 year.
Wow.
And when you see that many, you realize, you know what? It's about 2 to 1 bad to good. This last year, I think it was 840-some films were released. At least 80 of them had something about them that was worthy of Razzie consideration. There's never any lack of material for our awards, sadly.
And so they can go to Razzies.com and
RAZZIES and check out the list of nominees. They can actually sign up to vote. The ballot will remain votable for about another week. It closes midnight Pacific time on Thursday the 20th. And with a membership, you get a chance at seats, although they do go fast. We are at a venue this year where seating is quite tight, so we can't promise you would get seats to go to the show, but the member fee is only $40. That's not that bad.
Oh, that would be fun. And then the Indiegogo site to check it out for maybe getting an actual broadcasted Razzies.
Okay, it's INDIEGOGO, and when you get to their main page in the search engine, enter Razzie, RAZZIE, and it'll come up.
Thank you, John, for taking time to chat about the Razzies. I can't wait to find out who wins or loses or wins to lose.
Well, one of the phrases we're using this year is we are the one award show where the people can't claim just being nominated is an honor. All right, talk to you later.
Thank you, John. As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California, and the links to his Indiegogo site, as well as if you would like to become a voting Razzie member, those links you can also find at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST-Movies-2-18-14.
And here's today's podcast picture.
And the picture is of a Razzie Award. You can see it at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Mike, I think that you deserve a Razzie.
Really?
Yeah, a raspberry. I think you do because it has a lot of antioxidants in it.
Oh, an actual raspberry. Yeah, one of the delicious pieces of fruit that are so... I like the raspberry jam, actually. And I don't mind sharing that information with you, the podcast listener. Or with you, Valentino.
I wish you didn't share it with me, Dave. As well as I did wish, too, that Lindsay Lohan Graham did not share his tongue in my ear, Dave.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't help it, Valentino. You taste just like an Easter bunny made out of chocolate.
Thank you, Dave.
You keep your hands off of him. Do you know that? Wow, Bison Bentley's pretty protective. I never seen that side of him.
I see it every day, and it creeps me out. D.
Tomorrow we will bring you the return of the feature, the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA. Plus, we'll hear from Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer.
So, Michael Matthews, I think that we should all talk like Zoe Chase.
Madame Rootabega, are you okay?
I don't know what happened to me just then. I was possessed by the Zoe Chase.
Yeah. Stop. Try to avoid that, okay? Try and avoid. Okay, because you get these shows that are getting popular on NPR that are hosted by these young people, and these shows always tell stories, and it's and they'll have the person tell a little bit of the story, and then all of a sudden this music, what we call a music bed, just music starts to play underneath them, and it's usually something like a boop, tap, boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap. So it sounds something like this, yeah, and I never saw him again. He jumped out the door and he ran down the highway. Boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap. Later that year, he was found dead on the side of the road in a ditch. But I never told his parents about that, or the person with the spiderweb tattoo across his face. Maybe that's the reason why I became blind. Boop, boop, tap, boop, boop, tap, boop, boop. If you'd like to hear more of this segment, make sure to tune in later on or download the podcast on our website, npr.org. Let's just end the show.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!
Oh, I found that show really un-American.